Hey, how how are you? Yeah. Hey, welcome to my apartment for now. So I wasn't gonna make any videos until I moved to my new apartment because most of my good recording stuff is all packed up already. So excuse the quality here, and also excuse my hair. I just got out the shower. But then, as the title of this video likely implies, I got quarantined, which it sounds really like that's such a imposing word, but yeah, I guess that's what has happened. But the word quarantine also, to me, implies that I'm being held in like a secure location, which evidently isn't true. I just said welcome to my apartment, so I'm quite clearly in my apartment. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like a real quarantine, like the way that I would picture it, where I would have been in like some kind of hospital, being looked after and being monitored. So like this whole concept of quarantine right now is really bizarre, and also the concept of self isolation isn't quite fully complete either because like the way that people are going about it, it's not entirely like each person is staying in their own bubble as they probably should and as the title self isolation implies, but rather people are just trying to stay away from people as much as they can. But it's not like no one's becoming a hermit, or at least very few people are becoming hermits. But yeah, so let's talk about how and why I am in quarantine. First of all, I'm not sick, not as far as I'm aware. I've been taking my temperature every day. It was 36.2 Celsius, centigrade. I don't know which one we measure in. They're both C, annoyingly, which is, average. I mean, the body temperature typically ranges between like 35 to 37, and lots of places are saying, at least in Japan, lots of places, my work included, are saying that if you have a body temperature of 37, then to call in sick, which is ridiculous because that's a normal body temperature. But all right, fine. So let's start a little while back in February, I guess. Sadly, my grandmother passed away, and I had to go back home for the funeral. Um, so that was scheduled to be in March. So I booked all the tickets for that and everything. I told my work, and they were fine with that. As much as they would be, like missing one of their workers for a week. Um, so yeah, that was all scheduled and everything. And then coronavirus started getting a little bit more serious around the world. So I'm a teacher, and I go to different schools to teach my classes. I don't stay in my one personal school. I travel a lot. So the company made the pretty well. I say it was the company. Lots of the schools got closed. So initially, some parts of Japan were closing their schools, and then Prime Minister Abe went like, "Oh, they're doing it. I've got to make it look like it was my idea, because otherwise he'd look impotent." Which perhaps, maybe if he's being that slow on it, maybe not a good sign, is it? But he declared that like all of these certain types of schools were closed, which meant that I couldn't do my job apart from one class a week out of what would normally be essentially 10 sets of classes each week I'd normally do. I was just doing one. And that school stayed open. They were very like vigilant staying there. And yeah, so I was trapped in my work office with all of my colleagues trapped together in a room. Instead of them sending us home, we were trapped in our office, and the windows were opened up because, fresh air is good. But it's also early March at this point, so cold wind is coming in and everyone's just getting cold and feeling a bit sick from that, which can't be good. And we're all together in a group. That's not good. That's directly going against the concept of like trying to keep people apart to stop it from spreading. And then they told us not to go and have lunch together. It's like, we're already in the office together, but all right, fine. Yeah, and during that time, my flights to England, my flights back to Japan from England got cancelled, and I panicked a little because I can't not go to my grandmother's funeral. I mean, it's my grandmother, so yeah, that was kind of tough and worrying. And then they got rescheduled, and I eased up a little bit, but still, as I was flying back to England, no, in fact, the day before I flew back to England, I was told that maybe when I come back, the company would ask me to sort of self-quarantine for 2 weeks, and they weren't sure if they would be able to pay me for that, which is tough because, like I say, I'm moving apartment. So yeah, that really sucks. And then they told me, no, that's not going to happen. That's fine. Please just take the first day off. And I was relieved, which was good. Yay! Small little victory there. And then, yeah, I was on the plane, and the planes were basically empty. I had 3 seats to myself, which was lovely. I could position myself right next to where the food came out, which was lovely. Yeah, that was a good flight. I never have anything bad to say about KLM. They've always been really good. And then having 3 seats to myself on top of that, yeah, nice bonus. So then I got home and I went to the funeral, which was quite tough and emotional. And then there was a rumor that the airlines were just like closing and you couldn't leave England. Luckily, that was just a rumor. I think some places were cancelling their flights, but mostly everything seemed to be running fine. So I was a little bit worried and then relieved, and then what happened after that? Oh yeah, and then England shut down everything. Just everything started to shut down in England, and it became a little bit panicky, because lots of people suddenly had no work, and there was just a big cloud of uncertainty. I guess England is still in that situation right now. And conversely, Japan started opening up things again. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, it felt like really unbalanced there. And then my flight back got cancelled again. Obviously, I started to panic again. Previously, KLM had just automatically rescheduled me for the same flight the next day. This time, they didn't do that, and I tried phoning them up. That is the phone. My hand is the phone. And every single time that I phoned up their helpline, it went through to a furniture store. And the lady there, Kimberly, if you're watching, Kimberly, thanks for being so kind and understanding. Yeah, I just instantly told them like, oh, my flight's been cancelled. What should I do about that? And Kimberly said, I'm really sorry. This is a furniture store. I'm not sure if there's a lot that I can do for you, which is true. it would be quite a stretch for a furniture store to get me back home. But yeah, I had a little laugh with Kimberly, and then I tried the number again. It went through to Kimberly, and she told me the number for KLM. She looked it up for me, and I told her like, yeah, I'm really sorry, that's the number that I dialed. So I don't know what happened there, but that was at least kind of funny in that moment of stress. And then eventually I saw that there was a flight being made, like the same journey was being made, just at 6:15 in the morning. So I decided to sort of take action and reschedule it for that time myself. So phew, finally everything is looking good again. And then the day that I can check in, it won't let me because my passport was apparently too close to expiring. Like it's my passport expires in June, and it being March, someone somewhere along the line decided that that was too close, and I wasn't allowed to check in. The soonest that I would have been able to make an emergency passport was the Monday after the flight, which is quite clearly no good, and that would have cost a lot of money again. So I was a little bit stressed there, but just sort of kept on telling myself it'll be okay. I'll check in at the airport and just speak to them in person and say like, look, I live in Japan. I'm not just trying to go on holiday or anything. I need to go back. But then all of a sudden that also just sorted itself out and I could check in. So like this journey has just been going up and down, up and down. It's been mental, absolutely mental, and like nerve-wracking. Like I've not been hungry for like a week. I ate tons of food because I was back in England, and I just made the most of all like the things that I couldn't get, like cheese and pies and stuff. But geez, I just seriously, my stomach was in knots for like the whole week. And then before I went to bed before the flight, I sort of double checked about travel bans, and I saw that Japan, as of that day, had sort of enforced quarantine on people coming from the UK and certain parts of Europe, which is what I was doing. So I was hoping that I'd be able to somehow slip through and just get back to work and then sort of decide whether or not to tell them. And then hopefully just go to work anyway, because, you know, I want to be working. I actually quite enjoy my job. And yeah, I feel sort of dedicated to it and like I have a duty, so I wanted to be there and do it. But then that clearly wasn't to be the case. So my flight back again, I had 3 seats to myself, which was lovely. I could lay down and watch movies, and I was again sat right next to where the food came out, and all the staff were so friendly. And it was a little bit emotional when the plane landed. The pilot said, like, we're so glad that we can take all of you guys back home to Japan, and you know, like, to be strong in this time of uncertainty and to really hold together. And it was really emotional. I'm starting to tear up a little bit now thinking about it, because it's just, you know, everything is so much out of everyone's hands. It's just a little bit of a meltdown. So yeah, that was quite emotional. And then as we were leaving the plane, there was just people handing out these documents to fill in, saying like, are you sick? Yes or no? Do you have a fever? Yes or no? Have you been to Wuhan? Yes or no? It's like, no, we just came from Amsterdam, but fine. Have you, you know, been in contact with anyone that has the sickness? And, you know, yes or no? And it was just stuff like that. and then it said, do you plan on using public transport? And it said agree or disagree. And I sort of left that blank because I was like, what? Why is it suddenly yes or no and then agree and disagree? It was bizarre. So I left that blank, also sort of hoping that they wouldn't make me admit to the fact that I have to. But then the lady double checked with me that I actually live in the country, which I do. And then she asked me, am I going to travel? And I said, yeah, I'm going to take the subway. And she's like, no, that's impossible. You have to get someone to drive you home or drive yourself. So I just went, oh, yeah, no, I can do that. Which, you know, I immediately went out after and took the train back home. So I have not broken the law because it's not a law. It's not a law. It's just strongly recommended by the government, but it's not a law. So I didn't quite break the law, I don't think. But I had literally no other way. No one would be able to come and pick me up. But also, like, we you know, like, if I get someone to pick me up, then they have to go into quarantine as well, surely. So, like, that just makes a domino effect. So me taking the train and just not coughing on people, surely that's fine as well, you know? So, yeah. And then after I handed in that, they gave me a blue piece of paper, just a blank blue little card to show to the customs officer to say, like, yep, I'm not sick, which they didn't take it off me, so I still have that. And then they gave me this document here. Notice from quarantine station to persons entering Japan. 1. Persons entering Japan from regions subject to strengthened quarantine, such as People's Republic of China, Republic of Korea, Islamic Republic of Iran, Egypt, Europe, etc. 2. Persons who have stayed in the particularly prevalent areas within 14 days before arrival. And then under that says, please stay in the designated place for the 14-day period after your arrival in Japan, counting from the day after your arrival, and follow the instructions below. Do not leave the designated place below. Do not use public transportation that many unspecified people use, such as train, bus, taxi, domestic flight, etc. For those applicable to 2, please notify the quarantine officer and receive further instructions such as health follow-up, etc. Okay, so they didn't tell me who the quarantine officer is, and they didn't tell me how to receive a health checkup or anything like that. They just sort of mumbled a bunch of stuff and said, you're going to follow these rules, right? And obviously I said yes, because otherwise I would have been stuck there doing whatever. Okay, and then for those applicable to 1 or 2, please fill in the blank below. Period of stay, 22nd of March until the 6th of April, which I wrote in. Place of stay, example, home, hotel, etc. I wrote in home. 3. All persons entering Japan, including those applicable to 1 or 2, check your health condition. Check your body temperature for fever every day. My job had already asked me to do that, so yeah, that's fine. And I have been doing that. Watch your symptoms carefully, such as severe cough or difficulty reading. Haven't had that. That's good stuff to look out for every day anyway. Pay attention to health condition of your close contacts as well. Well, apparently I don't have any close contacts because I'm in self-isolation or quarantine. If you have symptoms such as cough or fever, wear a mask to prevent the spreading of infection to others. Yep, fair enough, okay. Call the returnee and contact person consultation center and tell them your travel history for advance. Don't know what that means. And then visit the designated medical institution. So I guess somehow contact a doctor and sort that self out. That's fine. For persons who live in close contact with family members, wash your hands frequently and thoroughly. Apparently you don't need to do that if you live on your own. Make sure to get enough sleep and nutrients. Again, apparently if you live on your own, they don't care. If someone in your family, etc., is feeling unwell, the people around the person should also wear masks. No, they should not. No. Wash your hands. Don't put a mask on. You're keeping the germs on your face. It is mental. Asia, you are mental. That's not how germs work. Anyway, limit the number of people with whom they come into contact. Yes, do that. If you have any uncertainties about the infection with novel coronavirus, please call the following number. And then you would expect me to sign this. I didn't sign this. Someone else signed this. There is no way to say that I signed this. There is nothing to tie this document to me. There is no real history or record of me, apart from the fact that presumably the government knows that I entered the country recently. There's no way to track me. Like I said, I instantly just went on a train and came home. There's no way to track me. There's no way to make sure that this is happening. Luckily, my job is smart enough to acknowledge the fact that I came back into the country and has said, yeah, follow this advice. But what are they doing? Japan, what are you doing? Have something to keep track of me. I didn't sign this document. I didn't sign the other document. They took like my name and they took my flight details, but there's nothing else there. And then this one that I haven't signed. I don't need to follow this because I've not signed it, surely. And also, home, place of stay, they don't have a copy of this either. I have this. I have the only copy of this. I have the only copy that says that I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to stay at an abstract concept. It is being so poorly handled. And, you know, I worry because there's lots of rumours that Japan just isn't, you know, counting the numbers correctly because they just want the Olympics to go ahead. So they're trying to make they're opening things up already and trying to make it seem like the virus has passed over because they just want the Olympics to go ahead, sorry. And it's like, put it off 1 year. Put it off 1 year. You don't need to have it in 2020. You could be remembered for being the country that did the great thing of saving thousands of lives, probably, maybe it could be even 1 million lives, right? You would save so many people and at least like let people calm down if you just said, we'll have it next year. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's just a bunch of games that no one really cares about. Just the athletes care about it. Everyone else just goes like, isn't that nice? Oh my word, just put it off a year. Put off the Olympics 1 year. And you'll go down in history for going, yeah, we did the good thing of putting it off 1 year. But no, instead Japan's going to go down in history and going like, we have to have it this year. And just, oh God. So apparently, luckily, Australia has already dropped out of the Olympics and hopefully other countries will follow suit. To be honest, maybe it's just a good time to stop doing the Olympics. What's the point? What's the point in the Olympics? It just ruins the economy of the country that it's held in. It just causes everyone to get upset about a bunch of things. It just prolongs the weird Nazi flame, which lots of people don't want as well. And it's, I understand the concept that it's meant to be like bringing nations together, but I don't think it does really, does it? We just sort of go like, you just support your own country. You don't support anyone else's country. It's just, uh, yeah, yeah. So now I'm in quarantine in my house. Um, yeah, and it's a very loose use of that word quarantine because I have already been out to the shops because I just came back from a different country. I don't have any food in my apartment, so I had to go to the shops. I had to go buy food. So, and that's going to happen as well because Japan isn't equipped for you stocking up on food. Like, it's a very disposable, like, you get this for now sort of culture. Like, my fridge and my freezer will not fit like enough food for beyond a week, and I'm in quarantine for 2 weeks. So, what? What do you want me to do, Japan? Yeah. So, you know, you know, yeah, I was gonna use this time before I moved to just focus on like art and painting and stuff like that. But now I've got 2 weeks. I'm not sure if I'm getting paid, but it's the silver lining that I can pack up and move in this 2 weeks. Well, I'm not actually going to move. Like, I can decide where I'm moving to, and I can pack up this apartment in those 2 weeks. So this is kind of silver lining for me, but everyone on that flight should be in quarantine now. And there was a lot of people on that flight. So, and obviously that's not the only one. So, yeah, that's the experience of being in quarantine. It's only day 2 for me. I was gonna make a video about it yesterday, but I slept for 11 hours to sleep off the jet lag. And luckily, I'm already back on Japan time. But yeah, it feels like Japan doesn't really care about us. I mean, they're doing the classic Japanese thing of making it seem like they're doing something, but it is minimal, to say the least. Yeah. So I'm just going to stay at home, do some exercise, do some reading. It's going to be great. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said just then, that I wanted to focus more on art during this time. That's probably going to be a little bit overshadowed by preparing to move and also study work. I want to keep my brain going. But I will be doing little bits of art for sure because I love it. And if you want to see some of the art that I do, you can check me out on Instagram at Connor Lawless Art. I'm probably not really going to edit this video, so that hand gesture is probably not going to say it right here, but you can find it in the description for sure. And if you need podcasts, you should check out the Gaming Under the Influence podcast. That's really good. I've featured on there a couple times, but even the ones without me are great. In fact, they might be better than the ones with me. I don't know because it's from my perspective. I don't have a clue. I've enjoyed all of them that I've listened to. They've all been fantastic. So, if you're in quarantine as well, snuggle up with that. That's going to be great. I'm also going to say, I'm not being supported by GOG at all, but they have about 27 free games right now. Get on that. And yeah, if you're not into games and you're not into stuff like that, now's a good time to just do some reading. do some reading. You can really get into a book in this time. Find a nice place to sit down in wherever you're being quarantined. Get a cup of tea, get a book. Gonna be great. I recently started The Master and Margarita, which is a book about the devil, I think. So yeah, getting into that. I recommend that. I also recently finished 100 Years of Solitude, which I also recommend. And beyond that, my recommendations go to short stories by like Raymond Carver and Tobias Wolff, stuff like that. So yeah, that's some recommendations for quarantine time. So that's going to be it for me for now, because I want to get on with packing up. If this was an interesting video, or if you want to make more of a discussion about this, say so down in comments and stuff, and I will, look into doing another video replying and responding to what people have to say, because this is all just my perspective. I might have made a complete ass of myself just then. I don't really know, but that is how I feel about this whole quarantine thing. I'm going to end this by giving you a zoom in on a black and white photocopy of the quarantine mascot from Japan. So there we go. There we go. Do you see it? Get into focus. Oh, it's really unfocused because my phone is running out of battery. Anyway, thank you. See you. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Go to bed on time. Do your homework. Brush your teeth.